In this video, we're making a quick trip to the Southeast Nostalgia Drag Racing event at Brainerd Motorsports Park, which is an 1/8 mile drag strip in Ringgold, Georgia. This event has several types of nostalgia drag cars, including front-engine dragsters like this one. This one has an inline 6-cylinder engine. You can see that chassis design is really cool looking. It's got a torsion bar front suspension. It's got lots of good vintage pieces on it. And then, of course, for horsepower, this appears to be a Ford inline 6. You can see it's got a Clifford intake manifold, 4-barrel carburetor. And even though this thing doesn't leave the line with a lot of force, it still runs down in the 6s in the 1/8 mile, which is pretty respectable. Another cool car is this 68 Camaro called Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This car's been a drag car for decades, and it's still out there making rounds to this day. Originally, it was driven by Dickie Forrester, and unfortunately, he passed away. This car is still living on with Chad Brewer behind the wheel, and he is bracket racing this thing almost every weekend and still winning with this car. This thing's powered by a small block Chevy, a pretty simple combination. It's got a few bracket racing tricks. It's definitely got some cool patina and cool age on it, and it's definitely a piece of Georgia drag racing history. I wasn't able to get any video of this one running, but I wanted to show it to you anyways because it's just a cool and very clean and tasteful car. This is a Rambler American 330, which is the smallest thing that Rambler made. It's a 2-door post body, which is the strongest and probably the lightest thing you could get. And it's just a plain and simple drag car that looks really cool, and this thing has made rounds all over the Southeast and previously raced with the NMCA. Here's another previous NMCA contender. This is Andrew Wheeler and his 1967 Dodge Coronet station wagon. Now, this thing's got a crazy paint job on it. It's got an Indy-headed 440 under the hood, and it hikes those front wheels up pretty good on every pass. Here's another one for you Mopar guys. This is the famous Loose Caboose Plymouth Road Runner. Now these cars, I say these cars because there was not just one Loose Caboose, there were several. These cars were known all over the country for winning races, and it was mainly because of Johnny LaBoose. He was a master at bracket racing and racing on an index or a dial-in. He was one of the best in the country, and he's got tons of trophies and prize money to prove it. This car is one of several Loose Caboose Road Runners, and it has been recently restored by Bradley Smith and Ken Meredith. It's got Hemi horsepower, it's got a cool 70s stance, it's got all the right stuff for a nostalgia super stock style car, and the best part is that Johnny LaBoose is still the one behind the wheel. Another local legend, Cotton Perry, can be seen here adjusting the wheelie bars on his Chevy 2 drag car known as the Pocket Rocket. Now, this car looks a little bit different than his previous Pocket Rocket because the old car had tons of sponsor decals. I mean, it was completely covered in decals. And the previous car was a 6-cylinder powered modified production car. He has since built a completely new car. This one has a small block Chevy, but it's still got big RPMs, it's still got a stick shift in it, and it's absolutely violent off the line. Unfortunately, I didn't get to video these cars going down the track, but I wanted to show it to you anyways because these are two iconic Pro Stock cars. The first is a 1994 Dodge Avenger. This thing is Mopar sponsored. It was an iconic car of the 1990s, and this car was made most famous by its enormous backfire at the 1994 U.S. Nationals. It was an iconic car, it was a controversial car, and this one is a great representation of that Darrell Alderman Dodge. The other half of the Nostalgia Pro Stock match race is from the Ford camp. It's a 1988 Ford Thunderbird, and it was the famous Bob Glidden motorcraft car. This thing won races everywhere, most notably at the 1988 U.S. Nationals against Warren Johnson, who red lighted in the finals. This is a great piece of drag racing history. Bye.